There are TV shows that are great because of a core ensemble cast, and Stargate SG-1 definitely had a great core ensemble cast. But you know what? One of the reasons it went so long and sustained quality for such a long period of time, 10 years, 2 movies, was also because of the supporting cast, because the world was so rich and there were so many people that we wanted to know, people that we eventually came to love as characters. One of those, for me, I think for most people who loved Stargate SG-1, was Jacob Carter. I'm recording this in February 2019. The word has just broken that actor Carmen Argenziano has passed away. Carmen was 75. He played Jacob Carter on Stargate SG-1. He was in more than 24 episodes. He was Stargate's dad. He was not just Sam Carter's dad, but he also brought that family vibe to the show every time he showed up on screen. I wanted to know what he had to say, what he had to bring, his wisdom, not just as the tok'ra Selmak, but also as Jacob, as Sam's dad. And so when this news broke of Carmen's passing, the outpouring of love on social media from the Stargate family, from fans all over the world, from his former castmates, fellow actors, it's just been amazing to watch. What I wanted to do is dig into the archives. This is the first time that we've gone back at GateWorld and pulled out an old interview from the archive and sort of done reruns. So here's the rerun, and I hope you'll appreciate it. The one time I had the opportunity to meet Carmen Argenziano face-to-face was at the Creation Stargate Convention in Vancouver, British Columbia in the spring of 2007. Carmen was one of the guests at the convention, right? It's a big convention. It was lots and lots of guests, lots of Stargate people around. But I had the chance to sit down and interview him. It's not a long interview. It's about 10 minutes. And you'll also hear that there's noise in the background. That's because the interview took place kind of out on the balcony, which the actors and the special guests were using as a sort of green room. It was a chance to get away and, have a few minutes out of the day when they were not on. Well, Carmen was incredibly gracious and welcoming to me because he was happy to use that time, right? Some of those precious moments of downtime when he wasn't on to talk with me, to talk with a fan who ran this little Stargate website about his character and the show. It really struck me. He was a great guy, and I'm so happy to be able to bring this interview back around and share it with you again now, 12 years later. I hope you enjoy it. GateWorld.net. I'm Darren Sumner. I'm here with Mr. Carmen Argenziano. Thanks for taking time with us today.
My pleasure, Darren.
Did I mispronounce your last name?
No, you were wonderful. Thank you so much.
Very good. This is a real treat for me. Take us back to your casting on SG-1 with Secrets and the Tok'ra in Season 2.
It was terrific. I remember they taped us, and there were some wonderful actors I was competing with, and I was totally surprised that I was chosen because, as I say, it's a very competitive town, and some wonderful actors were up there, working actors, Charles Ciaffi and this and that, and I went on tape, and I had worked on it a little bit, and when I heard the news that I was selected, it was just one of my more memorable times in this business. Very seldom an actor gets a role that affects his life in such a wonderful, dramatic way as this role has. The recognition this role has brought me, and the attention, and the money, and the security, or whatever. I mean, at least the sense of that, because journeyman actors don't usually have a very kind of regular working situation where they're employed on a regular basis, and this Stargate offered that to me, and I'm forever grateful.
So Stargate has been a very big part of your life and your career, just like Jacob Carter's been a big part of the Stargate universe. Jacob has been really pivotal in a lot of key story arcs and key episodes.
He was, and initially, I think Brad Davis and I think this was pre-Robert Cooper. Robert came in the following year, but they were planning on Jacob being actually dying of cancer, and the fact that Selmac resurrected him, and he had 5 years and 25 episodes left on Stargate. Was just one of those experiences that are, it's just kind of serendipitous, and you never know in this business. It's almost like Las Vegas and hitting a jackpot occasionally. It's been a wonderful ride.
You've got a very special relationship with one particular cast member in Amanda Tapping.
Amanda was there from day one. Amanda is so supportive and so warm, and she's such a positive influence on the set. She knows everyone's name. Always up, always supportive, always helping, always contributing. And I remember when I was struggling a little bit with some lines and some dialogue in the first episode, she just held my hand and made a connection, and I've loved her ever since, actually.
And what are your thoughts on Jacob's relationship with Sam and the way that grew over the years?
Well, I had a daughter as well. I have a daughter, and she's beautiful. In fact, we use some of the stills with my real-life daughter and Sam in some episodes. When Sam was younger, we used them as, wall portraits or pictures on fireplace mantle portraits and whatnot. And it just, if there's a kindred spirit, or if there is such a thing, Amanda is truly one of mine, because we just connected. We just connected, and she's a terrific actress and a terrific person.
Jacob Carter is a father and a family man.
Yes.
Had a strange relationship originally with his son when he decided to leave Earth. What are your thoughts on his decision to live off-world?
Well, he had no choice. I mean, I'm sure I would be really intensely skeptical about, even if I was dying, about assuming a life that's somewhat off-world and alienish, but the symbiotic, the symbiote, or whatever, I think he and Selmac define symbiosis in terms of what he gleaned from Selmac. I think Selmac to Jacob was like having Alfred Einstein, was like having someone who spoke 20 languages, was someone who had the wisdom of the universe. If you could live with that kind of knowledge and with that kind of power and with that kind of whatever Selmac offered Jacob, it's truly science fiction. I mean, it epitomizes the possibilities of science fiction and the wisdom we strive for as human beings and the potential that's there. I mean, it was so magical that Selmac imbued Jacob with this incredible, wonderful knowledge of the universe. It was just a wonderful thing to play off of. The possibility of having that kind of awareness, that kind of wisdom was really tantalizing, was really something I loved to play with.
What about working with some of the other main cast members, Rick and Michael and Chris?
It was all fun. Michael and Chris, we had so much fun on a set, and as well as enjoying what we were doing creatively. But I think Richard's sense of humor helped, and Chris and Michael, it was always up. It was always a pleasure to get to come to Vancouver and to do the show and to be creative with wonderfully entertaining people.
What were your initial feelings when you read the script for Reckoning and Threads and found out what Jacob's final fate was going to be?
I think I was ready. I think I was prepared. I know that there's a lifespan of each character in a series, and I didn't know how far or what they could really do with Jacob beyond what I had done. And I wasn't totally surprised. I enjoyed the last couple of episodes, and actors do enjoy death scenes. And it's kind of challenging. It's kind of something we love to explore because it's inevitable for all of us. So I was ready. I was ready for the end of a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Now, when you look back on those 7 years on the show, what are the memories that stand out that you bring with you?
The people I've met. Through the show, not only the characters and the writers and the directors, but beyond that, it's brought me a recognition that I've never had before, with the wonderful fan base and the conventions, and meeting people whose lives have been so wonderfully, positively influenced by the show, by what we do, by what we bring to them in their lives. I mean, that's the whole reason we become actors, or at least I did, is to influence people's lives in a positive way, to give them hope, to give them, to let them identify with what's possible, who they are, what they may become. It was a wonderful experience, and it was a wonderful opportunity for me to portray someone that not only one man, but the possibility of connecting with another being and being elevated to a status that I don't know of any human being who's experienced that. So it was a fantasy. It was a wonderful fantasy and a wonderful character, and it was a revelation to me. I mean, acting ultimately is revealing. It's you find out, you discover more about you and more about the potential of life and what we can do with our lives. And Jacob/Selmack gave that to me.
Can you tell us what you're working on now, and if you got the call for Stargate, would you go back?
Oh yeah, I'd always be open to going back to Stargate, because they gave me something that's very special and very rare. And right now I'm having another wonderful creative experience with CSI New York. I've done the last few episodes, and I'll continue to do the episodes until the end of the season. I just got back from New York City, and I'm working with some wonderful people, writers, Pam Vesey and Gary Sinise is a wonderful actor, and they're professionals, and they really elevate the craft in many ways, and I'm enjoying it.
Great. Carmen, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.